The USGA just warned the world's best golfers that Shinnecock Hills might break them, and one man is walking in anyway, trying to make history on his 30th birthday. What if I told you that the hardest golf course in America is about to host the most politically explosive U.S. Open in history, and the favorite needs just one title to join Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and Ben Hogan? Welcome to Analysis PGA, and this week, we go to war at Shinnecock Hills. Before we dive in, if you're new here, I'm Rick. I break down professional golf the way it actually is, not the way the broadcast dress it up. Subscribe now because this week's coverage is going to be episode after episode, and you don't want to miss a single one. Now, let's talk about why this U.S. Open is genuinely unlike anything we've seen in years. Shinnecock Hills Golf Club, Southampton, New York. This is not a golf course. This is an argument. Every single time the U.S. Open goes back to Shinnecock, the same fight starts. How hard is too hard? Where exactly is the line between a championship test and something that stops being golf? Founded in 1891, first hosted the U.S. Open in 1896. It has now hosted 5 times across 3 centuries, a record no other American venue can match. And every single time, it leaves a mark. But there's one year that haunts this place like a ghost that never left. 2004. The USGA set that course so aggressively, so mercilessly fast, that players watched their balls roll completely off greens without even being touched. Phil Mickelson hit a chip from just off the collar and watched it accelerate across the putting surface, past the hole, and off the other side. He addressed a moving ball on the 13th. 2-shot penalty. He walked off that hole with a 10. Retief Goosen won that championship at 4 over par. And afterwards, the USGA did something they have almost never done in their entire history. They apologized. Publicly. They admitted the setup had gone too far. That apology is still hanging over Shinnecock Hills in 2026. Quick one for you right here. If you think the USGA learned their lesson and gets the balance right this year, drop "trust the setup" in the comments. If you think we're watching chaos unfold by Saturday afternoon, drop "here we go again." I read every single one, and I'll be responding live during the tournament. Keep watching, because what I'm about to tell you about this year's setup announcement changes everything. Jeff Hall, the USGA's Managing Director of Rules and Open Championships, just addressed the course setup in detail ahead of this week. His message? Shinnecock 2026 will be firm. It will be fast, and the green complexes, Hall confirmed this specifically, represent the greatest challenge on the entire property. That is not accidental language. That is the USGA drawing a line and daring the players to find it. But here's what makes it even more interesting. The course sits at approximately 7,434 yards, par 70. Those numbers don't tell you anything real. Because it's Shinnecock, par is fiction. The real opponent isn't the scorecard. It's the Atlantic wind that sweeps across Long Island all week, turning a perfectly positioned drive into a lottery ticket and turning a middle iron approach into the most important shot you'll hit all year. 2018 showed us what this course does at its most severe. Third-round scoring averages climbed above 75. Players called it unfair. Brooks Koepka called it exactly the kind of test he was built for. And Brooks Koepka won. We'll come back to what Koepka means for this week in a moment. Because there's a storyline there that I genuinely cannot believe enough people are talking about. But first, the man everyone is watching. Scottie Scheffler, world number 1, 5-time major champion, betting favorite, and the only man in this field who walks on a Shinnecock Hills with a specific, singular mission: win the U.S. Open and complete the career Grand Slam. He would become only the 7th player in history to hold all 4 major titles simultaneously, joining Hogan, Player, Nicklaus, Woods, and Rory McIlroy. Now here's the detail that makes this genuinely cinematic. The final round of this championship is scheduled for Sunday, June 21st. That is Scottie Scheffler's 30th birthday. He visited Shinnecock in early June for the first time. He's never played the course before. And when he came back, he had a specific diagnosis. The fairways were wider than he expected, but the green complexes? That's where this championship would be decided. When the world number one walks a course for the first time and immediately identifies the decisive variable, you write that down. But Scheffler isn't just dealing with a difficult golf course this week. He is walking into a building run by people he has spent the last year publicly challenging. At the 2025 PGA Championship, he called out the USGA's no preferred lies ruling after a mud ball on a perfect drive cost him strokes. He said it turned a skills competition into a lottery. At the 2026 PGA Championship at Erin Hills, he was among the players criticizing pin placements that eliminated meaningful score separation. A man at war with the institutions hosting him, chasing history on a course that has never been kind to anyone. On his 30th birthday. That is a story. Stay with me here, because I haven't even gotten to the political firestorm that is making this U.S. Open genuinely unlike anything we've seen in a modern era. If you're enjoying the breakdown, hit that like button right now. It tells the algorithm to push this to other golf fans who need to see it. And I promise you, what's coming in the next section changes how you're going to watch this tournament. Here's the layer that everyone in professional golf is talking about, but broadcasts won't say directly. The USGA, the organization hosting this championship, setting this course. Writing the rules these players compete under, is also the governing body that designed and mandated the golf ball rollback. Starting 2028, professional players will be required to use a ball that travels shorter distances. The USGA says it's about sustainability, about keeping courses relevant, about the future of the game. The players? They're not quiet about how they feel. Justin Thomas called the USGA selfish. He said the rollback was bad for the game. Bryson DeChambeau called it, and I'm quoting here, the most atrocious decision in the history of the sport. Rory McIlroy, notably, publicly supported it, said it put golf on a sustainable path. So the players walking into Shinnecock this week are not simply competing in a golf tournament. They are competing on a golf course run by an institution a significant portion of them consider their adversary. That tension exists on every single tee box, in every single conversation between a caddy and a player when a ruling needs to be called. That's a layer of this story that is completely without precedent in modern major championship golf. Let me run through who else matters this week. Rory McIlroy. He completed the career Grand Slam at the 2025 Masters, 11 years in the making. He arrives at Shinnecock as a six-time major champion with nothing left to prove. And that freedom? That might make him the most dangerous player in the field. His only U.S. Open title came at Congressional in 2011, where he won by 8 shots in one of the most dominant major performances of the modern era. A player with no narrative weight left to carry tends to play a different kind of golf. Wyndham Clark. He's coming off a Sunday 60 at the Byron Nelson in May, a 60 by 3 shots. His U.S. Open title at Los Angeles Country Club in 2023 proves he knows how to handle this specific kind of examination. He had a very public meltdown at Oakmont last year and came back. Players who've been through something and come out the other side tend to arrive at major championships differently. And then there's Brooks Koepka. This is the one I told you we'd come back to. Brooks Koepka won the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills in 2018. He returned to LIV Golf, came back to the PGA Tour in January of this year, and his world ranking has dropped to 255th. 255th. He was barely inside the field when the entry list was finalized. And this week, ahead of the tournament, he made a public statement. He said he believes he is going to win. From a player ranked 255th in the world, that sounds like a story you'd tell as a punchline. Except it's Brooks Koepka at Shinnecock Hills, a course where he won before. A course that rewards exactly the kind of mindset he has always operated with, which is a complete indifference to chaos and an ability to separate the major championship version of himself from every other version. He has won 4 majors. Every single one of them came when conditions were hardest, when setups were most severe, when the field was most rattled. Dismiss him at your own risk. Several players have made that mistake before. We're getting close to the end, but I want to ask you one thing. Who do you actually think wins this? Drop your prediction in the comments right now. Scheffler for history, McIlroy for redemption, Clark on form, or Koepka doing the unthinkable. I want to see your calls before Thursday, and I'll be doing a prediction video before the first round. Subscribe so you don't miss it. The 126th U.S. Open begins Thursday, June 18th, and ends Sunday, June 21st at Shinnecock Hills Golf Club in Southampton, New York. Jeff Hall has told the world what the course will be. Firm, fast, green complexes that will separate the best approach players on earth from the ones who almost are. The championship has a player chasing history on his birthday. It has a champion who completed his own Grand Slam, arriving with nothing to lose. It has a man ranked 255th returning to the scene of his greatest win. And it has an entire locker room walking into a building run by an institution half of them are openly fighting. Shinnecock Hills does not produce quiet weeks. It never has. But 2026? This might be the loudest one yet. I am Rick. This is Rick Analysis PGA. Stay subscribed because we are covering every single round, every single storyline, and every single moment that matters this week. The coverage starts now. Drop a like if you're locked in for the week. It helps more than you know. See you next.